Hello everyone, we are from Group 4 and in this video we are going to talk about reader response theory. First, let's start with the definitions. Rosenblatt's theory, 1978, of reader response defines the interaction of the reader with literary text as a variable which influences and changes the text and constructs meanings. Meanwhile, Amir, 2003, defines the theory as follows. It views the reading process as a transaction between the reader and the text in which the reader, with his past experiences, beliefs, expectations, and assumptions, interacts with the perspectives in the text, and meaning is determined as the result of this transaction. Thus, reading, in this approach, is a reflective and creative process and meaning is self-contracted. Carl Sly, 2000, describes the reader response theory as a theory which, according to him, emphasizes the creative role of the reader. Next, we are going to talk about the scholar of reader response theory. The first is Stanley Fish. Stanley Eugene Fish, born April 19, 1938, in Providence, Rhode Island, U.S. He is American literary critic, particularly associated with reader response criticism, according to which the meaning of a text is created rather than discovered by the reader, with neo-pragmatism, where critical practice is advanced over theory, and with the interpretive relationships between literature and law. In his second book, Surprised by Sin, The Reader in Paradise Lost, 1967, he argues that reading is a temporal phenomenon and that the meaning of a literary work is located within the reader's experience of the text.
The next is about Fish theory, that is affective stylistics. Affective stylistics is a term used by Stanley Fish to describe the necessary reliance of the critic upon his or her affective, responsive to stylistic elements in the text. According to Fish, the literary text is not formally self-sufficient. It is created in part by interpretive strategy that the reader deploys. The next is about the second scholar, Louis Rosenblatt. Louis Rosenblatt was a highly influential thinker in literary and critical theory, reading pedagogy and education. She is most widely known for her reader response theory of literature. The process of reading is a dynamic transaction between the reader and the text, in which meaningful ideas arise for readers from their own thoughtful and creative interpretation.
Transactional by Rosenblatt. The transactional theory signifies that both the reader and the text play important roles in the formation of meaning. Meaning is produced by continuous transaction between the reader and the text, employing the meaning potential of the text and the reader's experiential reservoir. While the reader is active in selecting and synthesizing the potential in his reservoir, the text contributes to the shaping of his selections and hypotheses, resulting in an interplay between them. Reading and writing are interrelated skills in which the transactional theory is also applicable. The transactional theory provides some implications for the classroom language instruction. The next scholar that talk about reader response theory is Wayne Sheepwood. Wayne Sheepwood, in full Wayne Clayson-Wood, born February 22, 1921, American Fork, Utah, U.S. American critic and teacher associated with the Chicago School of Literary Criticism. In his influential first book, The rhetoric of fiction that was published on 1961, Put presented a detailed examination of narrative technique and introduced such terms as implied author and reliable narrator. In 1974, he produced Modern Dogma and the Rhetoric of Assent, a plea for recent assent in the educational community that was prompted by events on the Chicago campus.
Rhetorical by Booth. For Booth, the main tool for the writer and critic of the novel is rhetoric, the means by which a particular author's fictional world and its moral norms are communicated to the reader. Both sets out to consider whether rhetoric is compatible with art, and ends up concluding that every move a writer makes it rhetorical. Fiction is rhetoric. Booth demonstrates that despite the claims of the purists, each element of a novel, including dialogue, setting, symbolism, and so on, is part of its system of persuasion. As we have seen, there are two extremes in the spectrum of rhetoric available to the novelist. First, the use of garrulous narrator who obstruct at every opportunity the reader's own access to the fictional world. And the second one is the elimination of such narrators to the point where the reader is left drifting. And the last is how to apply reader response theory. There is 6 ways to apply reader response theory. 1. What does the text have to do with you, personally and with your life, past, present, or future? 2. How much does the text agree or clash with your view of the world, and what you consider right and wrong? 3. What did you learn, and how much were your views and opinions challenged or changed by this text? If at all, did the text communicate with you? Why or why not? 4. How well does the text address things that you personally care about and consider important to the world? How does it address things that are important to your family, your community, your ethnic group, to people of your economic or social class or background, or your faith tradition? If not, who does or did the text serve? Did it pass the who cares test? 5. What can you prize about the text? What problems did you have with it? And 6. How well did you enjoy the text or not, as entertainment or as a work of art? Thank you.